Back to the Daily Report. This is the marketplace, and in our marketplace tonight we have the acting CEO of the Financial Inclusion Fund, Elizabeth Nkukuu, who will be telling us how exactly the Hustler Fund has been faring on. Have you been receiving your Hustler Funds? How have you been receiving your Hustler Funds? Just recently, it hit about a year. In November of last year, Hustler Fund was 1 year old. And you're getting your PhD in finance. Elizabeth, welcome to TV47.
Thank you so much for having me.
What is the math feeling like now that Hustler Fund is a year and a few months old?
I think that the Hustler Fund being 1 year old and growing strong, it's one of the best feeling, actually being given the opportunity to serve in that particular fund.
Right.
We have, numbers are growing. We continue to see people borrowing. We continue to see people repaying. So with the largest impact really being on the young people, we have over 70% of the Hustler Fund being serving the people below the age of 40.
All right.
And maybe to the conversation that we were having, even about, I would say, 40% below the age of 30.
All right.
So it's really serving the purpose of which maybe the president was looking at. So yeah, it's been a good ride so far.
And it's fantastic because TV47 is also quite young, in the media scene, and we are one of the fastest growing media stations. And one would say that about the Hustler Fund as well, considering it is one of the cheapest digital loans, and it requires, no collateral at all from the people who are accessing it. How has it been that you have been giving all this money? How are people treating the Hustler Fund?
When you look at the people who really needed this money, there are people who could not get collateral, or if they needed to get any funding, they had to go to people who are taking advantage of them. You are being charged over 10% per day. That is a huge, huge amount of interest that you end up seeding that you could have reinvested in your business. So with the Hustler coming in, whereby you are being charged 8% per annum, and if you pay within the day, you actually don't pay any interest. People have taken advantage of that, and they have actually grown their business. They're very good success stories whereby you see someone borrowed 500 shillings. They have, like the shoe shiners, once they buy the kiwi, they have that for 3-4 days.
Right.
So that is an amazing story. They couldn't have gotten that any other way, other than the fact that they got that from the Hustler Fund.
Right. And before we even start to delve into the numbers even deeper, maybe if you could just tell us, it is, financial inclusion means that you are trying to net in the people who are usually left out when seeking finances for their businesses. These are the women, the youth. Could you maybe just categorize into percentages how many women are accessing the Hustler Fund?
The way the Hustler Fund is, it actually cuts across everybody. So no gender specific. So as we speak right now, about 48% of the borrowers in the Hustler Fund are women.
Right.
And in terms of even economic empowerment, we have another 50%, it's almost 50% people using the smartphone and people using the feature phone. So one thing about the Hustler Fund, it has not discriminated anyone, whether you are in which economic status or your gender. If you look at the regional distribution, every single county actually have a representation of someone who has borrowed. So the Hustler Fund has been able to do what financial inclusion is, which is increased accessibility at an affordable price, and even the chunky levels whereby I only need 500 shillings today because I didn't get kibarua. So that helps you to see at next day. So that is what the Hustler Fund was supposed to do.
Right, let's just look at some of our facts here about the Hustler Fund. And we're just going to be tallying and getting the numbers and our facts straight. The loan facility is meant to cater for hustlers, quote unquote, and MSMEs. Those are micro, small, and medium enterprises. And the loan facility is accessed through a USSD code. Now, of course, there is the logic behind it, *254#. The USSD code does bring in a lot of the informal sector. What was, your reaction? What was the reaction of Kenyans when they knew that they could access it through this USSD code?
The beauty about the USSD code, it means that you're not being discriminated from accessing the funds based on what fund you're using. So even a kabambe, just the normal feature phone, you can actually be able to achieve this. So this brings a lot of excitement because no matter where I am, as long as I have a phone, I have an ID first, I have a phone, and I'm in this country, then I can be able to access that. So that is a huge, huge thing for us.
All right. Now, the interest rate stands at around 8% annually. That is calculated daily at 0.02%. One would say that this number, of course, is more inclusive for the people who want, cheaper loans, give or take. However, 8%, what is the validity? Is, now that you have already rolled it out for a year plus, is it giving, the returns that you were expecting as the government?
So when you look at the Hustler Fund, it is not a commercial product. It is an enabling product.
All right.
So what we are supposed to do as government is to help people get into a place where they can be able to actually get commercial products. So this is to build people. So the reason why 8% works, it's because we are not doing this to make money as government. We are doing this to enable people make money eventually.